In October 1861, the Civil War was still in its early stages, and both sides were grappling with the reality of a prolonged and bloody conflict. The Union Army, eager to assert dominance and deliver a quick victory, planned a modest offensive along the Potomac River near Leesburg, Virginia. What unfolded, however, was a disastrous engagement that underscored the perils of poor planning, faulty intelligence, and miscommunication in warfare. This was the Battle of Ball's Bluff, a sobering episode that left a profound mark on the early war effort. By the fall of 1861, Union forces were stationed in Maryland, keeping a watchful eye on Confederate activity across the Potomac River. Leesburg, a small but strategically located town, became the focus of Union attention. Intelligence suggested that Confederate troops were withdrawing from the area, creating an opportunity for a decisive strike. Brigadier General Charles P. Stone was tasked with overseeing the operation, which seemed at first glance to offer a chance for a much-needed Union success. The mission was deceptively simple: conduct reconnaissance and, if conditions allowed, push Confederate forces further back into Virginia. Yet, as events would soon reveal, what seemed straightforward on paper quickly devolved into chaos on the battlefield. On the evening of October 20th, Union forces under Colonel Charles Devens crossed the Potomac at Harrison's Island and ascended the steep bluffs on the Virginia side. Operating on flawed intelligence, a report that incorrectly identified an open field as a Confederate camp, the Union troops believed they were advancing on a weakened enemy. In reality, the field was an empty meadow, and the Confederates were well prepared to counter any incursion. Convinced they had the element of surprise, Union commanders pressed forward without securing adequate reinforcements or artillery support. Adding to the precarious situation, the Union troops had no clear plan for retreat should the need arise. The steep, forested bluffs and the Potomac River behind them left no room for error. This lack of preparation would soon have devastating consequences. As dawn broke on October 21st, Confederate forces under Colonel Nathan Shanks Evans discovered the Union presence and began to organize a counterattack. The terrain heavily favored the Confederates. The Union troops, perched on the edge of Ball's Bluff with the river at their backs, found themselves in a perilous position. Any retreat would require descending the steep bluffs and crossing the river under relentless enemy fire. The fighting began in earnest as Confederate forces launched a series of attacks to dislodge the Union troops. Initially, the Union soldiers held their ground, but their position became increasingly untenable as more Confederate reinforcements arrived. Brigadier General Stone, unaware of the full scope of the engagement, delayed sending additional troops, believing the skirmish to be a minor encounter. Communication between Union commanders was disjointed, adding to the mounting confusion and chaos. By mid-afternoon, the Union line began to falter under the relentless Confederate assault. With no clear escape route, panic set in among the Union soldiers. Many attempted to flee down the bluffs to the riverbank, where they faced the daunting challenge of boarding small, overcrowded boats to cross the Potomac. Some boats capsized under the weight of desperate men, sending dozens into the cold, fast-moving water. Soldiers who couldn't swim drowned, while others were cut down by Confederate gunfire. The scene was one of utter devastation. The Union's losses were catastrophic. Of the approximately 1,700 Union troops involved, over 900 were killed, wounded, or captured. By contrast, the Confederates suffered fewer than 200 casualties. The lopsided outcome made Ball's Bluff one of the Union's earliest and most humiliating defeats, a stark reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. Among the fallen was Colonel Edward D. Baker, a sitting U.S. Senator and close friend of President Abraham Lincoln. Baker had personally led a charge during the battle, refusing to leave the field despite the overwhelming odds. His death was a profound blow to Lincoln, both personally and politically. For the nation, Baker's death symbolized the devastating human toll of the conflict, touching even the highest echelons of government. The loss of Baker also amplified the public's outrage over the battle. Questions arose about why a prominent figure was placed in harm's way and why the Union leadership had so catastrophically failed to support the troops on the ground. This scrutiny would fuel a broader reckoning within the Union's command structure. The Battle of Ball's Bluff had profound and far-reaching consequences. In Washington, news of the debacle sparked outrage and political fallout. The Union's inability to coordinate effectively and the staggering casualty rate led to the creation of the Congressional Joint Committee on the Conduct of the War. This investigative body, tasked with probing military failures, would go on to scrutinize Union generals and shape the strategic direction of the war in significant ways. For the soldiers who survived, the memory of Ball's Bluff remained vivid. Many returned to their units determined to avenge the loss, carrying with them hard-earned lessons about the realities of war. The survivors' accounts also served to galvanize public support for a more disciplined and effective military effort. Ball's Bluff exposed critical weaknesses in Union leadership, strategy, and logistical planning. It highlighted the dangers of acting on faulty intelligence and underscored the importance of clear communication, proper reinforcements, and logistical preparation. The battle served as a cautionary tale for both sides, demonstrating how terrain, preparation, and leadership could dramatically influence the outcome of an engagement. The Confederates, while celebrating their victory, also recognized the fragility of their position. They understood that future engagements would likely bring even greater challenges as the Union Army learned from its mistakes and grew in strength. While the Union Army would recover and go on to achieve significant victories, the sting of Ball's Bluff lingered as a bitter reminder of the steep price of inexperience. For the soldiers who fought and died on that October day, and for the nation they served, Ball's Bluff became a symbol of the war's harsh realities and the immense sacrifices required to preserve the Union. In the next episode, we will turn our attention to the Western Theater, where the Union and Confederacy clashed in a high-stakes battle to control the Mississippi River. The stakes were immense, and the outcomes would shape the course of the war in profound and lasting ways.